Hi guys, I'm here with Christopher Alesund, right? And we're in Dubai. Here is the ESL Pro League. So, how is it going for you so far?
It's just amazing to be here, if you ask me. It hasn't gone so well in the first game we played here, but we're gonna play Cloud9 later, so I hope that's gonna be a good game for us at least.
Okay, I want to talk about some stuff. You have been playing for a long time, and you started when Counter-Strike scene was not so big, and every tournament was something like special. So do you miss those days, or for you every tournament is something like special?
Like back in the days, everything was completely different, and I mean, just look at how big the scene is right now, and how much prize money and whatsoever more in the scene that you actually get when you're a pro player. But back in the days, it was more like you were fighting every tournament you were playing because you didn't play so many tournaments every month for like week or online or something. So you took everything in a way much more serious, even though you take it like as much as serious as you can nowadays, because there's so many tournaments you cannot really. You think and you believe that you are focusing so much on it, and like you're ready for everyone, and you believe so much like you did before, but it's hard since there's so many tournaments at the moment. You cannot focus 100% on everyone since you're playing like 3 online leagues at the same time, then go in a tournament one weekend and so on. So, but still, on the question you're saying if I miss it, in a way I do, but not really.
As you said, today is too much tournaments, and do you think is it more positive or negative?
It's positive in those senses because then all the teams that are pro teams that can attend a lot of tournaments, since you can always miss one and you want to prove yourself to the fans and to your team and other teams that you are still a good team. So that's a good sign. But it's also super bad since there's so many tournaments. It's like ridiculous, and yeah, people are falling in.
Do you maybe losing the motivation?
No, not really. Like I always been asking my parents. I haven't done it in a year or two, but I always ask them and say like, do they think that I should continue? And then they always ask me like 2 questions. And the first one is always like, how is your motivation? Are you still pumped for playing the game and like traveling so much as you're doing and so on? And I always give them the same answer, yes. And then they always like, are you thinking that the money is taking over you and so on? And then I'm like, no, it's never been an issue because I believe money is like a good thing to get, and if you're winning prize money and you get the salary and so on, it's just a bonus. I'm not playing this game for the money. I've never done it and I never will. Because if I'm gonna say I'm looking for the money, I will probably quit because I don't want to become like one of those persons. I met a lot of old school players back in the days who were like that, and I'd rather do something else then.
So it's more a hobby right now for you?
It's still a hobby, but you can also say it's super serious, and it's a lot of money and it's a lot of pressure and there's a lot of tournaments going on, and but
I'm sorry, maybe let's move out somewhere because it's too loud.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we moved, and what we're talking about?
We were talking about if it was a hobby still or not. I think I already actually answered that in a way.
So now, team for you, it's more like you are as a friends, or it's like work atmosphere. But I think you have been playing together for 3 years?
Almost in 3 years, or no, 2.5 or so. Yeah.
So you should be definitely friends, right?
Like when we started the team 2012, our goal was basically to get 5 core players that's enjoying to be outside of the game. Not like, of course, we wanted to have the skill and so on, but it wasn't really our biggest focus then. We know everyone was skilled enough to play in a team, but it was more like the dynamic on it, how it should be played, how it's going to be outside. Is people boring in a way? Am I boring? Is someone else boring? Or is it like, we want to have like 4 of your best friends in your real life as a team and try how that goes. And yeah, and it worked out directly in the beginning, and I'm really like glad that happened because of course we made like a huge record. We're winning 87-0 and we won a lot of tournaments. We won a major as well. But Of course, I will always be looking for achievements because that's one of my biggest strengths as a person. Like, it motivates me because I want to play tournaments, I want to win big games and tournaments and so on. But I think the biggest achievement for me personally was to get this team in the beginning, because I wouldn't probably see myself playing with these people if they weren't like this nice to you. Like, it's one of your best friends you're talking to every day, and you're traveling with, having fun with, crazy stuff happening, and blah blah blah. It's just purely fun, if you ask me.
You said, as I understood, you said that you want your team to be as in the back days.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, you mean like that? Yeah.
So is it possible to do the same atmosphere, the same motivate, the same? I don't know.
I think it's a hard thing to try to get back to, because when you played for such a long time with together, you already know each other in and out, and you know, like, if something bad happens or good happens in real life and so on, and you want to be on the positive side all the time. But when the game's is not going that well, people are gonna be like, you know, down, sad, angry, happy for the most time when we're winning, and it's hard to go back to what we were back in the days, because people change. You grow up as well. You take more responsibility in real life, and you want to, you know, do other things as well. Prioritize. I think that's a word. Like your family,
Yes.
your apartment, house, girlfriend, dog, car. I don't know. Like you want to grow up, if you say like that. Like, I mean, of course, I'm 25, and two and a half, like 3 years ago, if I was 22. It's not like a big thing, but when you get older, you do big decisions for yourself, and people change during the time.
If you have a bad day, you lost game, you have a negative emotions in your team. So after, in real life, is the negative emotions, is there a place in negative emotions in real life?
Yeah, I mean, of course, when you lose a game, and especially a tight game, or you felt you played bad and so on, it's going to affect you outside of the game as well, because like no one is here for losing. You know, everyone wants to win. Everyone wants to win the big trophy, the money, or get fame, or, you know, whatsoever people are looking for. So of course you get like the negative side when you're losing, and you know, even though you're really good friends, and you know the other one is sad that he played poorly, didn't, you know, perform as he wanted to, or we didn't perform as a team. So it's hard, if you ask me. Like, it's something that people have to, you know, experience to at least understand it, how you can change yourself if you're negative, like outside of the game, especially after losing a game. And I think that's what one of our goals has been every day. Like, you know, you have to be controlling yourself more, like emotions on. Because when you lose a game, sometimes it's not your fault. Sometimes it's just that the other team is just better, and you shouldn't always think about the negative side, like, oh yeah, I played bad, and it's my fault, I'm sorry, damn, I have to play more, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what reason people can say, but that's one of my usual things. I always want to play more when I play bad, but it also can be a negative thing, because you're already pushed yourself so much before that, and when you lost a game just because something didn't work for yourself, you lose as a team, you win as a team. It's not everything about basically a player.
What about your fifth player? Because
Ale?
yeah, it for me it seems like you haven't you have changed a few players before Alo, and for me it's my opinion. You haven't have no understanding with each other, like as a team.
Yeah.
Is it true or?
I don't believe so. I mean, we always had a problem since we're 4 Swedish persons that understand each other, and he's Finnish, and like Norway, Denmark, Sweden, we can understand each other on like the basic level, and like I don't know, it's hard to like compare it with, but we understand each other pretty good. But Finnish to Swedish, and like, you know, Finnish to Norwegian and Danish and so on, it's like no one understands it, like when they're talking, you know, their own language. So we have to always, you know, try to explain things in English, make it easier. He's studying Swedish and so on. So I think that could be also be one of our, you know, problems we're having since he couldn't get something what we meant, or we don't understand what he meant. You know, just small things that happens time to time, but I don't know, like, I've always believed in this team, and I really enjoy playing with them.
Back days, you focused, it seems, that you focused on individual skill, not like tactics, strategies. Is you change your play style, or?
You mean like, are we trying to change it?
You were very good in individual skill, so maybe right now when all teams know tactics very well, maybe it's more harder for you right now.
I mean, of course, when every team knows in and out how you're gonna do tactics, how you're gonna be playing like a personal player, like playing style and so on, and that's what. I understand all the hate that we get for it, because people are thinking that we always have the same thing, blah, 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 and you know, what you read on HLTV, Reddit, pro commentators and analysts and so on. But the thing is, in my opinion, and I think everyone in my team, we try to change a lot of things all the time. We try to do things that people are fine with. We're not trying to just be the same team, same tactics, same playing style. We're trying to develop them more, and maybe we're just stupid enough to not change it like big like people understand it, and it makes me angry when people are like, you know, they don't take it serious, they don't change things, they don't do things, but we're trying our best, and it would be fun in a way to just invite one of those fans to actually be blaming us, you know, and just say to them, listen for us a whole evening when we're going for practice, and just see what happens, what we're learning or what we're going through and so on, and just like understand what we're doing, because it's hard when things looks always the similar.
I have heard a rumor that's about possible changes in your roster. So is it true, or it's just rumors?
It's just true.
Rumors? It's nice. I think better to keep together and trying to do your best, trying to improve it's every time it's easy to like break something and build new, but if you like recover in something, it's more hard work, and I think it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been worth it. I mean, we've been a team for such a long time. We're not one of those that give up easily, and we've been proving that time to time that we're not gonna give up that easily. But of course, it's been a rough few months for us, and it's nothing that no one is happy with, and I'm not happy with it, at least. I'm angry about it, of course, but it's just a rumor at this point.
So sorry for that maybe uncomfortable question.
It's fine. I mean, like, if that would happen, for example, change or something, like we're not one of those, you know, we're not one of those teams that just gonna, you know, blow it up. We will do it perfectly and explain it to everyone and so on. We want everyone to understand if we're gonna do it or not do it, you know. And we're gonna keep on fighting till it feels pointless for everyone.
I wish you good luck in this case. So thank you for this interview, for your for you to be honest. So yes, good luck, and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.